Hello. Back for another reflection. Reflection number 3. Hopefully number 2 is uploaded. Okay. So, get in it. This reflection covers chapters 2, 3, and 4 from the readings of Adam Grant's originals. First thing I'd like to discuss would be what is the right type of feedback, and how is that important to developing a successful idea. Having the right type of feedback, I believe the right type of feedback is that which is from your audience, who you're targeting with whatever idea you're proposing, and getting them to consider how it would affect their lives and what you can do to improve it, how they can be critical, not necessarily in a constructive way, because it could be like, oh, I don't think I need this at any point, this idea that you have, but having good feedback from the sources you're interested in, or from the groups you're targeting, is important, because otherwise, if you don't get that feedback, people will already be like, oh, okay, I don't need this. They won't buy it, they won't watch it, they won't do whatever they will with it, whoever is being targeted. Not always a consumer, but like somebody who's going to be affected by it might not be affected by it as much as the person who's inventing it thinks. A couple examples from the reading. Segway, the company, well, two-wheel scooter things. They mostly met with their investors to like show prototypes and examine the flaws of like how could this be used, what situations would it be useful for, and they didn't get the critical reception from the consumers, and so they had to go through multiple iterations of their product in order to actually bring it to market successfully. And that's kind of an example of how not having the right feedback ended badly. The opposite would probably be Rick Luden and the sitcom Seinfeld, which is a great show. So there were a lot of his staff was inexperienced with writing or producing a sitcom, which turned out to be in their favor because the people that were watching sitcoms were tired of the same old tropes, trends, and ideas, where everything is back to square one at the end of each episode. And the Seinfeld had a lot of unresolved plot lines. It was a show about nothing. It was a show about life, and it was because it didn't directly pull from the influence of other sitcoms at the time. When it came to people getting the feedback they needed, it was refreshing, and it turned out great. So there you go. Second thing I'd like to talk about, this may go over time because 2 to 3 pages of writing compared to 5 to 7 minutes doesn't really add up. I don't know if I could do 200 or 100 words a minute or something, but anyway. Carmen Mendia in the CIA. So basically her story was she wanted to create a way to better facilitate the sharing of intelligence among the different agencies that work within the CIA. And she had a hard time getting her idea out and having her status and influence back her idea effectively. She eventually ended up creating an Intelpedia for intelligence stuff that could be easily updated and operated on the fly, unlike having to write out complete reports of intelligence and needed to go through like a screening process to be actually put out to other CIA agencies or branches. I think she went about it the right way. She had a good idea, and she eventually got it through, but not through lack of trying, because it took a lot of effort to actually implement something such as that. And what it makes me think of is how people take your or how much your perception affects how much power you have. If you're perceived as somebody who has a lot of power, you will have more power because of it, because people think you do. And it's like people may have a better, or one thing mentioned in the text was how certain like male professors that looked a certain way would be viewed as more intelligent and like more credible, even if they weren't more intelligent or more credible than their peers. And in that way, people do draw a lot of conclusions based on appearance and social norms, which in the context of the question would be gender roles and stereotypes do kind of factor into it, and that people might respect someone or not respect somebody based on their own beliefs if they fall in line with whatever stereotypes are present or whatever is a popular role or gender role. It's not saying you wouldn't be the credibility of your ideas would be less because you're a woman or a group subject to a stereotype, but it could affect based on the society or hierarchy you're in or the time. Because Carmen Mendia was pre 9/11. I feel it's safe to say a lot of progress has been made since that time. I don't know if it's necessarily more, but you never know. In any case, stereotypes, gender identities do kind of affect how power is perceived, and in turn affect power to some degree. Alright, already at 7 minutes, so let me continue through quickly. The matrix of changing the status quo, or just on page 80, what can be done for an organization for its betterment, and like what options there are. I believe it's pretty sound.